Okay, happy Monday and welcome to the Healing She Got Faith show. It is still March, so that means it is still social work month, so we are still celebrating. Today we have a Grief Beyond Death episode, which means we got a very special guest, and I will let him introduce himself.
Hey, how everybody doing? My name's RC. I'm the CEO of a clothing line by the name of WAGDOD. WAGDOD stands for
Hey.
We're All Gonna Die One Day. So live
Ooh.
life to the fullest.
Yes. So thank you for being here. We're definitely going to get into the story. So as a social worker, it being social work month, it is my job to bring resources to the community, and also too I want to connect resources to the community. So that's why I wanted you on the show. Also to shout out to our friend Kendall who connected us. Appreciate that. So without further ado, we will go ahead and jump right into our icebreaker.
I'm ready.
All right, and welcome to episode 112's Icebreaker. All right, RC. So, it's your first time on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So, what we are going to do, we are picking from this deck of cards, self care wisdom cards.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you already have a card. So, what you're going to do is you're just going to read it, and then the question is, does it resonate with you? Why not?
This was my free call, right?
Yes. Yeah, I was showing him how to do it, and the card just flew to him, so we ran with it.
And it 100% resonates with me, like I was telling you.
Yes.
So the card says time. Time spent worrying is time spent. So how does it resonate with me? That's what you want to know.
Yes.
That's what especially in the past, I spent a lot of time worrying about my level of success and where I was, and that's what contributed to like a bad mental episode that I had when I first started my brand. It was a combination of some stuff we're gonna talk about later, as far as love life and just me not feeling like I was where I was supposed to be at life, but I was only 18.
We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
Ooh, we're gonna talk about that. Yeah, I have a lot to say about that. Ooh, yes.
And that's something that even I'm pulling up on 30 now, 29. So 10 years ago, but sometimes I still catch myself falling back into the same patterns that I had at that age. So it's, sometimes I just got to I had to learn to give myself grace.
Yeah.
To be able to, especially when you look back at how far you came. That's what we tend to forget, especially when you into business. Like you be looking so far ahead at the goals you want to reach that you forgot all of this stuff that you overcame.
Ooh, yeah. Whew. You just at me next time.
Yes.
Ooh, yes. Time. Ooh. I like. It's funny. Welcome to 30. Because 30 changed my life. I'm turning 33 this year. 30 changed my life. But when I got to 30 and I realized like time really is made up. Like time, like in business, if we're talking specifically, if I don't get something done, or like even for example, I just told you I made a mistake in the notes. Nobody is over my head but me. Like nobody is like telling me that I'm wrong or telling me that I'm not doing. It's me. Like I'm here, or I'm like, oh, I gotta get this done. I gotta get that done. And I have these like time constraints, and I'm like, well, why am I making myself
stress?
Why? Like, who taught me that? Like, why am I doing that? And so as I have worked through business and like really coming to terms with unlearning what I've been taught about time, right? Like even as a woman being taught like, okay, you 33, you ain't got no kids, your clock is clicking, like your clock is ticking. I said that backwards. And I feel like I'm just now living my life.
I swear that's how I be feeling. I'm telling you.
I'm just now like,
it seemed like the 20s was like the trial and error section. You trying to figure out who you even are to begin with. Who am I even attracted to in the first place for me to be pursuing them in an emotional? What things about you could trigger me? What are my triggers? That's stuff that you just learning. You don't even know what you are.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Because I think about if I would have had kids with any of the men I dealt with in my 20s, I would be miserable.
Come on, man.
I would be miserable.
Come on. I don't got none yet either. I don't got none yet either. And I be thinking about that. Like, I didn't see some stuff is just so crazy. It can't even be said, but it's just stuff that happened or the type of people that those women became down the line. I'm like, I really dodged the bullet.
And you did. I can tell you did. And I I can tell you absolutely did. I think about like mental health, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of my very last relationships, which was almost like 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mine was like
And
3.
3.
Mm-hmm.
See, and we go through these relationships and be like, I would just be single. Like,
I promise you. That last one did it for me. I promise you.
And it did. And it really did. But I thought about both him and I struggle with mental health. But I was very more open to mine. Like, hey, like I'm struggling with some depression.
Mm-hmm.
I'm struggling with like some eating disorders. Like there's a lot happening.
Mm-hmm.
And he was more so like, I mean, yeah, I'm depressed, but like, what I'm gonna cry for?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, there was always a battle, and because like he didn't believe in mental health, it was messing up my mental health. Because like the whole time, I'm like, why are we together? Like, nothing here is meshing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nothing here is meshing. But I was so young, and so like now looking back, giving that young girl grace because you didn't know, like you were in your 20s, like you thought this was how a relationship was, and like being on this side realizing like I think I'm just now learning what are relationships, what do they look like,
Mm-hmm.
how do they affect my mental health,
Mm-hmm.
what does that even look like. And it's absolutely absurd to me that we expect 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 23-year-olds to know who they are, what they are going to do, what are they capable of, because we don't know.
Come on. And your mama didn't be quick to kick you out the house and all that. I was lucky not to receive that end of it, but I see it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Especially in the inner city communities, like your parents really will kick you out at 18 or be just pushing you to get out, man. You didn't even know what you was doing at 18. You don't know what you're doing now. And you trying to kick me out at 18. Like, come on, man. So it takes time to find out who you. Some people never find out who they are. Some people 40, 50 before they find out.
Yes. I think that's my goal right now. Like, I don't want to be 55 trying to figure out, which no shade to anybody because we all have our own journeys.
Mm-hmm.
But what I see in life, like, I don't want to be 55 being like, this is my favorite color. Like, now figuring that out.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be 55 and be like, my 20s, whew, we're going to pray for her. The 30s, she was lit. The 40s, now 50s, like I'm relaxed and I'm in my era. Like I want to see different, and I want to be different than what I've seen. Because both my parents died pretty young. Like my dad died at 45, and when I think about that, he didn't know who he was. He was struggling. He was depressed, and when he died, like mental health wasn't a real thing. But I will show my dad gratitude because he was during that time he was in therapy and he wasn't ashamed of it. Like especially when him and my mom are going through a divorce, he was absolutely like team therapy, and I remember when him and my mom got a divorce, he took me and my brother to therapy.
Oh, that's good then. Because most men don't, especially from that era, that age, that was almost like they looked at as a punk or something.
Correct.
And
I remember like we was going to a divorce group at some church. It was crazy because like we was not a church household. So like the fact that he must have really been heartbroken. Like I be thinking about that. Like he must have really been heartbroken because we was in therapy and we was going to this church for like divorce. It was a divorce support group. And I just remember him like he would really be crying in them groups. And I'm like, this is different. So like when I got older and like I saw that men weren't emotional, I was like,
make you look at it like
this is so weird. Like y'all don't be crying. Like and people like that was news to me. I'm like, so men don't be crying.
They gonna show you how strong you was though, because it take more strength to be able to expose yourself in that way than they do to be tough all the time.
Yeah, and I think like to the outside world, he was still pretty tough because like even now, like when I talk to people about my dad, they're like, "Your dad told you he loved you." I'm like, all the time. Your dad hugged you. All the time.
Something as simple as a hug. Straight people have never got. I don't think I ever hugged if I did, it had to been some point in time. I don't remember it.
That's wild to me. And I had to learn that. Like I was like, Lisa, like you gotta chill on these men. Like everybody ain't your daddy. And I'm like,
crazy.
Like because I had grew up with a dad who would cry, who didn't have shame in that. And even if he did have shame, he didn't care about it. You know what I'm saying? Like he just was like, well, we're here. The tears are here. So I was like, okay, that's fine. But man, time. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so I got 2. My card says release. It says sometimes the best way to grow is to simply let go. word.
Let me see the little picture on it. That's all. Yeah, I like the whole little aesthetic that he called.
Yeah,
I like the little artwork on it too.
The illustrator is Joe Podmore.
Cheryl Richardson. She must be just the one that created them.
Yeah, she's the author, and then the artwork is by. Okay. Yep. And then the second one is feelings. Healing begins with feelings. Be gentle with yourself and tender with your heart. Ooh, both of these. Okay. Release. I feel like in this era of my life, I'm definitely in that releasing season. So like releasing the expectation of where I thought I would be, even like my expectations on having a romantic relationships, friendships, even careers, just releasing those thoughts and releasing those expectations, even with my body. Like I recently started back working out. And so like, just to give a little background, last year I was like on it. I was working out, getting it in. Body was the best it had ever been. And then my business, we just hit a plateau. I wasn't getting any money, and I ended up having to go back to work. And I started off working at this community center, which ideally I would love, but I didn't realize how stressful it was on me. And so like the waking up early stopped, the coming over to my building and working out after work, that stopped. And so then I went months without working out.
Broke those schedule up that you had created for yourself.
Yes. And even like with my body, like I was starting to feel it in my body. Like I could feel the tension. I could feel the bones like rotting, because like when you work out, like your body is constantly moving. Even like something as simple as like wearing my Apple Watch and like my heart rate, I could just be sitting here, my heart rate is so high, and I'm like, that like, no, I have to get back active. I have to get back onto my thing. And like releasing, so like it's been probably about 1 week since I started like fully back working out every day and having to give myself grace. Like, you haven't worked out in months, so get rid of the expectation that you're going to be the person you was last week. Your only goal right now is just to show up. Just show up every day, even if it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
That's what I be telling people. Like, you did as motherfuckers be sleeping on going for walks. You can literally start off working out. You don't have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
Going in there the first day, lifting the heaviest thing you can, literally getting up and walking outside, walking down the street and coming back. That can be your way of weaning yourself into it. But the thing that you're really doing is you breaking that cycle of not doing it. And getting consistent with working out. It don't matter how much you do, you just have to get in there and do something.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because Sunday I came here, I was like, I'm gonna work out. And I got through 15 minutes of my video. And at 15 minutes, I was like, this is all I had to give today. And I'm going to be okay with, I came, I showed up, I gave it my all. If like all I had to give today was 20%, I gave the full 20%. And I'm okay with that. And like having to give myself grace. And like there was one workout I was trying to do, which I knew last year I could do it. This year, I can't do it no more because I've been out of commission. And I was like, Lisa, give yourself grace. It's not going to happen overnight. You have to relearn. You have to reteach your body. Once you start back like fully, the muscle memory will come back. But for today, you showed up, and that's what it is. And so like releasing all of those expectations too. And then also too, I think like releasing all the expectations from society. I've learned that a lot of where my anxiety has came from is watching people on social media, watching people like, oh, if you're an entrepreneur, you should do this. If you're a social worker, you should do this. If you're a speaker, you should do this. If you this. And I'm like, yeah, it'd be too much.
No, for real.
It'd be too much. I can only do so much. I can only do like one thing at a time. And that was when I started 2024. I started that like in my day, I keep myself to 1 to 2 things a day. So if I go to work, that only leaves for one other thing to be done that day. Like today I went to my job, and then this afternoon is this podcast. That's all I got. I'm going to go home. I'm not even going to edit this episode tonight. I'm going to go home. I'm going to rest. And then I'll figure out when to edit, because we got a week. We're recording a week in advance, so I got a week to edit it, right? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna like force myself to stay here because editing an episode takes me it could take anywhere between 2 to 6 hours, depending on how much needs to be edited, depending on, do I gotta play with the sound? Do I gotta, am I gonna do shorts? Am I like, what's the promote? It could take a long time.
Something different.
Every time. No matter, even if I like try to keep it as simple as possible, it's always
every
different.
time there's gonna be an audio issue. It's gonna something gonna happen.
Okay.
It's gonna be some type of hurdle.
That happened my last guest. That episode was so good, and I'm editing. Same systems I use. I use StreamYard and I use Anchor. In the middle of me editing, StreamYard and Anchor decided they're switching their whole system. Why did his episode come out choppy? I was like, and what was crazy was I had edited that episode 3 times and it erased 3 different times. So altogether, I probably spent about 15 hours on that one episode. And then when the final product came out, it was still choppy. I just texted him. I said, I hope this don't discourage you. Like, like I hope you do more podcasts. That podcast was so good. But here's the thing. And he was like, no, it's good. And like his people was real supportive about it. They said I laugh too much, but that's my trademark. So okay. I laugh at everything. I laugh when I'm recording by myself. So whatever.
Laugh is a good thing. I don't understand.
People, you know what it is? People be thinking I be flirting like with men because I'm naturally loud and I be like, ha ha. And people be thinking I'm flirting. And I be like, no, I've been laughing. I came out the womb laughing. Like I just have a problem. Like it's okay.
For sure. You good.
Woo, okay. So release and feelings. Okay, so healing begins with feeling. I say that all the time. Like in order to heal, you have to feel. I think like a lot of people look at me and say like I'm really strong and I've been through all this stuff. One of the things that got me to where I'm at is that I sat in my pain. I got to a point where I no longer ignored it or suppressed it. Like I sat in agonizing pain to get to this place. Because I wanted to know, like, if I didn't get to the root of it, I would have never started a healing process. Because I don't believe I'm ever fully healed. I think that's like an ongoing thing. But I will say, like, I am at peace now that I've sat with myself. But that's also because I know myself too. And it says, be gentle with yourself and tender with your heart. And I think that just goes with what you said earlier, just giving yourself grace. So, ooh, those are deep. All right. All right. So that was our icebreaker. And we are going to get to the main course meal of tonight, which is our topic of the day, which is the conversation of mental health. So we will meet you over there. That's good. All right, welcome to episode 112's topic of the day with RC, and we are talking about mental health, our journey, our businesses, and what that looks like. So before we really get into it, I want to ask you to give us a little background about yourself. So like, who are you? Tell us about your business. And you can start kind of telling us a story of how you even got to this point.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So, like I said earlier, name RC, CEO of WAGDOD.
Yes.
Mental health awareness brand. I started it because I just wanted to create a group of people I wish existed, like when I needed them at that time frame. And that was just the original, like the game plan that I had. Like my mission at that time was to like, I just wanted for anybody that felt the way I felt, for there to be like a core group of people that they could always look towards, just to feel like they got something or somebody. And I kind of got that original point of view from 2 main things. This is rapper called Tyler the Creator. You ever heard of him?
Yep.
So I just like how we around the same age.
Yeah.
So he was 16 and doing his little skateboard stuff and running around acting crazy. I swear to God, it was a group of us in the neighborhood, and we did the exact same stuff we seen them doing. and it was like, I wanted to create my own version of that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? From a St. Louis standpoint. You feel what I'm saying? So it was between that, and then it was this movie I watched. It's called Fight Club.
I know what that is.
Yes.
Yep.
So I just liked the whole structure of it. It was crazy, but I liked the whole structure of how he took those people that he could tell needed that guidance and stuff like that, and he was able to give them that sense of belonging to something.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then that, like, just that whole act of, and even just boxing, I've been boxing for a long time.
I love
like
boxing.
yes, like I used to just take my gloves to the park and just box any and everybody. It just do something for me, you know. So with that being the center of it, and just those two different things is what really gave me like the rubric to what I was doing when I created this.
I love that.
Yeah. So yeah. All right, bro. Repeat some of the
well, you talked about how you kind of started your business, and then just give us a little background of you. Like, so you're RC. Who is RC?
Oh, yeah, okay. So like man, it's like I say, every day I'm still learning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm still learning who I am and what I'm even working towards. Sometimes I really just have to sit down and take that time to release and let go of those expectations that I create on myself sometimes, but also like how you said on social media, it's like looking at all the stuff that these business owners saying by this year you should be reaching this level of success, or looking at other people's success online and basing what I got going off that, not even knowing that they only showing you their best part. They only showing you the up. They not showing you everything they had to go through to get there.
Correct.
Or what's really going on behind the scenes. You don't know that. Some people just make it look good online.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
I just hired this career coach and it's been going very well. But because one of the things is like I'm trying to get into like an executive position, and I kind of want to just keep this like as my part-time or hobby, because I think I enjoyed it more as my hobby, and I think I was way more passionate. But when I was talking to my career coach about my business, and I was like, I just don't feel like I'm where I need to be. And he was like, I'm not gonna say no names, but there are people on social media that will have you thinking they are making millions off of their company, and I can guarantee you they have a 9 to 5. And I was like, I know that, but I don't see that. Like, I know, right? Like, I know that, but it's like, but how? Like, how? And you got to like stop yourself in the middle of that thought process, right? Like, you don't know anybody's journey. You don't know what they're going through. They don't know what you're going through. Right. I just so happen to be a person that I am who I am on the podcast and social media in real life. Like, what you see is what you get. I'm not gonna ever fake the funk. If I'm not feeling it, you're gonna see it. Like I just did episode 110, and I posted 2 versions of episode 110. I recorded part 2 before I recorded part 1, and that was a really, really shitty day. And I was like, I wasn't gonna post it. I was like, look it, we gonna just post it.
See what the real.
And so they got to see both. Like there's the original episode that came out, and then I called it a bonus episode. They're both called episode 110. One's just 110 and 110 bonus. But I wanted my audience to see, like, I actually did record this one first, but it wasn't the vibe I was going for episode 110. But after I recorded the second one, I was like, nah, y'all gonna get this, because that's who I was in that moment. Like, I was really, really in my feelings in that moment for whatever reason. So this is what you're gonna get, because I no longer want to put on facades, because I'm in this era of allowing people to be human. With human, you have all the emotions, all the experiences. So you're going to get what I give you. Like, you're going to get what I give you.
No, for real. And in the end, that just being real like that makes people feel like they more, like they actually know you. And that make them mess with your content more.
Absolutely. One of the realest things I heard was Kim Young. She's the dope Black social worker on IG. And she said that a lot of people ask her, like, how do you get your content and followers up? And she was like, I have no idea. I just come on here every day and be myself. And it just grows. And that's it. She's like, I have no method. I can't sell you a course for $500 to get it. I don't know. But what I do is I come on IG every single day and I just be myself. That's what I like. I like that. I don't like a hidden agenda. Nowadays, you got all these coaches that can do all these type of things, and they're getting paid $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to coach you. The whole time,
you just need to be yourself.
Say it.
And people can tell the difference of something that's doctored or when you you know what I'm saying, putting on a, like how you said, a facade, or you speaking in even the way that you know what I'm saying, enunciate your words. People can tell when you doing something for the camera versus when you literally just talking to people like you know them.
Absolutely. I'm big for that because I always say a word and be like, I don't think that's how it's supposed to be said.
What you said earlier, you said tick clocking. You said something,
and I was like, that's not how it is. Definitely mix those words up. I'll be like, I don't think I said that right. I was trying to say, what word was I trying to say the other day? I think it was like disciplinary, and I was not saying it. And I was like, you know, like when you're supposed to be disciplined, but they add the extra letters. Yeah, that one.
Right.
Like it's not coming out right now. Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's Lisa. Mm-hmm. Okay. So thank you. So this is RC. Mm-hmm. All right. So RC, can you describe a time that you grieved and got through it? Mm-hmm. Before you answer that question, though, you're on the Grief Beyond Death episode. So we define grief as any loss that you have taken that has affected your life. So it doesn't have to be death. If it is death, that's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. But I just want to give you a broader perspective on grief. So can you think about a time that you grieved and how did you get through it?
I can think of two different things right now. Okay. Yeah. So one of them was when I moved to Atlanta. When I first moved there from here, I think this was like 2017. So I was living in Atlanta for like 4 or 5 years. I just came back in August.
Really? Of 2023?
Mm-hmm. I just came back in August, yeah. So when I first left, I had just got out of a relationship. So that was a weird process because, you know, when a person is deeper than y'all just being together, y'all create a schedule together. And y'all, even like on some other shit, your chemical balances, y'all become like, you almost get a high. Literally, like your brain releases certain chemicals when you get around a person that you're in a relationship with. So it's like you literally going through withdrawals. Going through that. So like I ended the relationship, I wouldn't even give it like a week and a half before I just left. And that was my first time moving out my mama's house and moving out. I just left and went completely to a whole other city and state.
I love
like that. Completely changed my whole scenery, everything. And it was just weird because I had to go through basically those growing pains. I had I guess you call her an assistant with me, but it still was like, because me and her wasn't on no type of level like that. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't like I could rebound off her or anything. So it was like I really would just had to bask in that alone.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? And I purposely made myself wait. I was in Atlanta for about 6 to 8 months before I even attempted to try to entertain somebody.
Yeah.
On purpose though, just because I really wanted to make sure I was like more solid.
Yeah.
Because that going through that pain while I was there, that was weird. It was different because, you know, I'm waking up in the bed by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like that'd be another hard one. Going to sleep by yourself, people don't realize too, you know. And just little stuff like that. Just coming home and having to sit alone and not, like, say if something good happened that day and I want to tell somebody, I had to go through being able to maybe rearrange it to telling a closer friend or maybe a family member or something of that nature and not a significant other. So I would say that's the time. And I just really had the way that I got through it was just literally being able to bask in my own energy, like my solitude, and being okay with it.
Yeah.
And not pursuing somebody else just to fill that void.
Yeah.
And once I really got in that pocket, I don't think ever again in my life I'll ever be to a point where I just feel distraught without being with somebody, because I've grown so accustomed to being alone. For me to even want to be with you, you have to make me feel better than I can make myself feel.
That's a word in itself. Woo, that's deep.
So if you can't do that, then I don't really see no point of us being together.
Yes.
What am I getting with you to have to take on more problems? That don't make sense to me.
Yeah. Ooh. So you gotta come correct. You gotta come correct. So in that case, would you say you were grieving that relationship? Were you grieving moving out your mom's house, moving out of St. Louis?
So this shit get deeper. I forgot. Look, hold on. So
listen, we gonna ask the question.
Look, it get deeper because something else had happened. So I say about a week and a half before I left, my mom got diagnosed with cancer.
Ooh. It always happens like that,
you know,
don't it?
So it was like, I don't know if that was the universe way of like or that test, like you gonna stay or you really gonna pursue that dream.
That's what I was thinking.
You
like,
feel what I'm saying? Like,
you still gonna go?
You feel what I'm saying? Like, your mother just got diagnosed with Brett. What are you gonna do? You gonna stay here? And because 9 times out of 10, if I stayed here, I'd have went back and start talking to you know what I'm saying, to her, and I just don't think, like, not saying she was a bad person at all, but it just wasn't, the fit wasn't there. You feel what I'm saying? So I probably would have went back into that cycle and continued to, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just, I did what was best for me.
Yep.
You know?
I think that's the key. You did what was best for you. And I think, like, we just got done talking about everyone has a love series. Everyone has a love story series. And I think, like, it's okay. And we talked about this in a couple of episodes. It's okay to realize that, like, a person you love or have shared this life with is just not the end result. And it's okay to realize that, like, you guys, you're not a bad person, she not a bad person, but y'all just wasn't meant
at that time,
correct.
You know, because who knows what happened down the line? Who knows?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing. When you do stuff for yourself, like, things will start making sense and things will start rolling into it. And I think it's important to understand it, especially as we get older. Like, everybody that I meet and love and have a connection to does not mean I'm supposed to stay. Because just because you can, don't mean you should.
Man, yeah. So that I was grieving in multiple different ways, and then so you asked, you was like, what part about it, that relationship part of it was, it was more than just, like I was telling you, just me and her. It was having a person there in general. You get what I'm saying? And having that person there, or somebody that I could communicate with, or just even be around, or say that that's my person. That was, I feel like, was more of an issue than anything. You know what I'm saying?
Get deep.
Yeah.
Get deep. Yeah. No, that's the real thing, because I've had to talk about it. Letting go of the idea that I'm supposed to have a person right now. Like, letting go of the idea that, like, I had this expectation that I was going to have my person, you were going to be living this life, and letting that go. Like, at this point in my life, I am my person, and we just got to roll with that. Like, this is mine. Like, I don't have any physical kids, but, like, this building is my baby. My brand is my baby. And, like, letting go of, like, all the expectations of, like, okay, there's this wonderful man supposed to be here, these kids supposed to be here, all this type of stuff. I'll be honest with you, I don't even want kids. So, like, why is that even a thought of, like, I'm supposed to be a mom? You take care of everybody else's kids. You don't need no kids. Like, like, that's, you know, like, that's my mindset. But, like, because of society's expectations of, like,
you feel like you should be doing these things.
So, yeah, but the one thing I do want, like, I do want my person, but, like, it's okay that I don't have that person, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, and I had to grieve that, right? I had to grieve that, like, okay, like, I feel like I'm supposed to have this magical moment. It hasn't happened. And so grieving that expectation of, like, okay, well, it's just us, Lisa. Like, it's just me, myself, and I, and we just got to be okay with that. And, but, like, being honest in that too, right? So, like you were just sharing, it's hard to wake up by yourself. It's hard to go to sleep by yourself. It's hard to get used to somebody's schedule, and then they're just not there no more. Like, and even in your case, like, well, yeah, I made the decision to do that, but it's still hard. Just because you made the decision doesn't make it any easier.
Right. Still got to go through that. It's like call it like a withdrawal stage. Like, you really have to fight through that. You know what I'm saying? And then not using other people to fill the void. I feel like that's like one of the biggest things people do. You just go rebound with somebody else, and then now you didn't just added some foreign object into this area, and you don't know nothing about that thing.
Now you just add in energies and situations into your circle, and you like, and then you wondering why am I so stressed and upset? Because you never gave yourself that permission to, like, grieve. And I appreciate you saying and being honest, and even doing this, like you said, waiting 6 to 8 months to even entertain the thought of something or someone else. Like, because I think people need to hear that, like, it's okay to be single. It's okay to marinate in that. Like, it's okay to take time away.
Once
I
you
think
get
like
comfortable, once you get comfortable in that, like that is a strength that it just can't be broken, and you don't even want to break it. Some people start looking disgusting to you, like especially when you listen to people talk. Like that'd be my main thing. Like I can sit down and listen to somebody talk for 30 seconds to a minute, and I can tell you whether or not you finna be around me for the next whenever. You know what I'm saying? I could tell the length of whatever our relationship is gonna be based off just simply you talking. You feel what I'm saying?
I'm glad you stayed. Look, glad you stayed for the podcast. Because I'm over here like,
for real. But I mean, once you get so in tune with who you are, and not even saying that person is a bad person, right, but you just got to be able to know whether or not that's something that's gonna mesh with you. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? And when you start just paying attention to that, and then paying attention to your own body, and you know how certain shit trigger you that people do and say, but some of us still pursue that person because we physically attracted to them, or we just want to fill a void. Ooh, and you know, and then now you in one of these situations where somebody's doing something that reminds you of something your ex did, and then you hate it, but you already didn't created the attraction to the person. Now you don't want to let it go. Now you in another bind
situationship. Oh my God, man. Okay, I just literally told this man the other day. I was like, a cute face don't mean shit to me. Like,
not for real.
Because it was like the conversation. Okay, when we talk about love, right? Like, and talk about knowing ourselves. So I'm a woman. I know myself. I'm not the type of woman who be like, I don't need no man. I need you. Come find me, please. Like, please. I am tired. I was outside spraying the door because it was some bugs over there. Like, I'm tired. Help me. But there was this guy who was trying to pursue me, and so like from day one, I was like, okay, this is how I operate as a woman. This is also how I operate as an entrepreneur. This is like, I'm just letting you know, like from the jump, just so you can make the decision. Am I too much or not? Like, I just wanted to be upfront. Well, time goes on and I start getting do you miss me? Are you thinking about me? And my honest to God answer was, you haven't gave me anything to miss, to know. Like, we ain't been on no dates. We haven't done anything. And then, like, the couple times that we had planned, you canceled on me. So in my head, it's a done deal because to me, if it takes longer than 2 weeks for a man to plan anything, especially if he asks you for your number, you just not interested.
Yeah. You could tell what the intentions are.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Like, if you just wanted to see how I tasted, you could have just asked and let me know. Like, like you could have just said that. Like, you didn't have to like do all this extra stuff. But then like the conversation came. So I'm not a phone person. I don't really like being on the phone. But like the conversation came up and was like, well, you're not calling me. You're not texting me as much as you used to. I don't want to be connected to my phone. And I told you that from the jump. Like, I'm a quality time type person. I want to be face to face. Like, really, if we on the phone, it should be, hey, are you free on Wednesday? Like, we gonna do whatever.
We'll set up the time frame for us to actually engage with each other.
Yeah. And so like that just wasn't getting to him.
Across.
So fast forward, and it was like a comment came. It was like, I just don't know if you like me. And I was like, you're right. Like, I don't like you. You have given me nothing to like. And not to mess with your ego, not to like mess you up, but like I told you from the jump. And what I find sometimes with people is like, we'll say one thing and we think a person means something else because for whatever reason we don't know how to handle people who like know who they are. And so like having to explain like what I told you was real because I've sat with myself. I've been through the heartbreak. I've been through this. So what I'm telling you is not to be difficult, but it's just to let you know, because I want you to make the decision, because I'm also too a person who realizes that like just because I think you're attractive doesn't mean we go together real bad. Like, it does not mean that. Okay. So I have to see people in different environments. I have to see people in different experiences. Like, a cute face just don't do it for me no more. When I was 19, baby, a cute face got you whatever you wanted. At 33, no.
Come on. Nah, for real. Nobody got time.
I can't go through the same stuff that I was going through at the age of 19. Like, I give little Lisa grace and I give her a hug. but I can't still live like I'm 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
I get exactly what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'll be like,
That's that part that come with that time though. Like, you know, you got to go through it. That's a trial and tribulations. So, like we was talking about in our 20s,
yeah,
of learning. You know what I'm saying? Who you are, so that way you can figure out from the beginning if y'all even compatible. You feel what I'm saying? And once you do that part, like you save yourself so much drama and just crap.
That's it. That's the compatibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about that in another episode. The compatibility. And you have to know how you operate. You have to know how you are as a person. Ooh, that's so deep. That's so deep. I feel like that leads us into. Wait, were you done with your grief question? Because I know you said you had two things.
Yeah, I did have two.
Okay, yeah.
So the second one, my grandfather passing away.
Ooh.
Yeah. So like my RC, that's where I got that from him. But that was his real name was Arctic.
Oh, I like that.
So ARTIC.
Yeah.
And then I think they called him like RDC, and then they just shortened that to RC.
I love that.
And so like he basically, like, I remember he used to always write his name on cups on some Terry Crews off what's the fucking Everybody Hates Chris. Yes. He used to write his name on cups. He was like, y'all need to keep these same cups now. All these cups coming up. It's like because we would get a cup for some soda, then we'd get it and then sit it over there. He'd be like, y'all using up all the cups for nothing. But I just always remember him putting his name on everything. Put his name on cups, put his name up here, and that it just always rung a bell for me.
Yeah.
So you know, he basically died, but he just kept having multiple strokes. Just kept having strokes and stuff like that. The third one was just like that was it. And you know, it was just weird because once again in Atlanta, so I'm away from home. So when you move away from home, I remember you said you was in New York or something like that. It almost, when you leave your hometown, it felt like you go into like a time capsule or something.
Absolutely.
And all of this stuff is happening here. You don't know about the new buildings that's being built. The roads are changing. The names of this place is different. This club name something different. It's like you go into a whole nother universe and all of this stuff is still happening. So it's weird because I had kind of removed myself almost emotionally from my family.
Ooh.
So it's like I wasn't even, the last thought of my mind was like somebody could die.
Yeah.
Like it just wasn't even a thing. And then I get a call from my little brother, like, yeah, you know, mama saying grandpa had another stroke and she don't think he gonna make it. And I, like, when he said that, it was just like the way my just emotional stuff is set up, stuff never really hit me immediately. So like I done seen some crazy stuff in my lifetime. Like I done seen some stuff you wouldn't even imagine, like gruesome, everything. It does not, the way just my stuff is set up, it never affects me immediately. I could just look at it and you would think that I don't feel nothing. And I don't immediately. It's a down the line thing for me. It'll randomly just, it's like somebody just flip a switch and it's all of it'll just go boom. So back to what was going on at the time. So, you know, I come home, he hadn't passed yet, but bedridden. It was so much extra fluid. We talking about no words, no nothing.
Wow.
Just in the bed. I come home. This is the same house I was living in before I left.
Yeah.
And just to look at that, and it's just like, what? And then a couple days go by, and then we pass, and I have to come home because, you know, hospice. He was on hospice at the house. My mom is a nurse.
Oh, okay.
So she was taking care of him. She was doing the hospice, and she ain't trusting none of the other people.
Listen, that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. So I leave, hang out with some people, get the call, come back in there, see that. It's just like, I don't even understand how to process that. One thing I for sure don't like, I cried later on.
Yeah.
But when it's just like, to me, it's just like, I don't even know what that is. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So that time go by, funeral, all that stuff happened, then life goes back to regular because I gotta go back and pay them bills in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I go back home, boom. Now I'm away from any family. He got some family members that live in Atlanta too, but I'm not really on like them people. You know what I'm saying? So I don't got no real connection with them. And then it just hit, and I'm here alone. Now, that person that I had even came to Atlanta with, she felt like she just randomly up left, didn't pay her rent, just got me evicted, all of it. So now I'm really in the mud out here by myself.
Yeah.
And it just, boom. I'm just like, what? What? So this person that, and my family's small too. Yeah. It's just grandma, grandpa. They only had one child, which was my mama. Yeah. I got one brother on my mama's side. Dad's side, don't know too much about what's going on over there. Yeah. 5 people. That's it. So I done lost the pillar. This is where I got my last name from. Yeah. That's where I got my last name from. What is this? It really just opened my mind up because, yeah, we all gonna die one day. But that was like right there. Yeah. And he has worn, this man that bought my shirts before, took pictures. How you gonna, I got pictures of him wearing a brand that says we're all gonna die one day, and then you actually die. Yeah. So I'm thinking of all of this stuff is just, and I just really had to sit down and just like, how are we gonna handle this, and what are we gonna do to continue moving forward? Well, I remember one time, like when I was here, I had came out with a collection of hoodies, and that was the first time I actually made some good money off of them. I heard that, yeah. So I probably only put like 200 into them, but the way my profit margin was set up, I'm getting back like 600. Yeah. So when I got them, and then one day I was just sitting in my room. This is when I was still living with him. Yeah. And I just was, at first I was just doing my, inventory. Then I looked at the money and I was like, this shit really working. Yeah. And then I went in there and told him. And he just smiled. He don't talk too much. Mm-hmm. He say what he got to say, then he going about his business. Right. But he just looked at it. He was like, you might be on to something. Like, I heard that. But just that little confirmation that he gave me, just from them little words. What I gained from that and how I move forward when I think of him, like, I'm not too big on I don't like obituary. I'm not one of them people because I don't like to think of them in that way. Yeah. I'm the type of person where I'm going to live my life and do things that I know would make you proud. Yes, absolutely. And once I sat down and explained to him what my brand was about and showed him that I was making money and I'm meeting these rappers come to St. Louis, I'm able to get in the club and give them a shirt and stuff like that. He had just, he wouldn't even say too much. He had just smile. Yeah. Then he every once in a while, he'd be like, how much them hats cost him that? How much that cost him that? So I just channeled all of that into like continuing to succeed in the way, because all he wanted was for us to be successful in life. Yeah. That's all he really wanted. Yeah. For us. So that's how I handle what I got going on there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. Yep. I think about that with my parents. Like, I don't like to think about them like the last time I saw them or anything, but like I wonder, like, how I process is, like, I wonder if I can live my life freely. Does that give them permission to like forgive themselves? Because like they're both deceased. And sorry to hear that. Thank you. I don't know what the afterlife holds, how spirits are, but like if I envision them looking to me, and I wonder if they like that, like that's what we were trying to do. Like when they look at like my siblings and myself, and we're out here living our dreams, and we're out here like doing everything that they couldn't do. Like I hope that they look at that and be like, we did a good job. Like they're doing everything we couldn't do. Right. And I know, considering the fact that the person you just told me how your father was, I'm quite sure pursuing something of this nature, I know if it's any possible way for them to perceive what we got going on, gotta be proud. Gotta be. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's when I think about like grief, right? Like, and I told you when we first met, like grief chose me and I snatched that bitch by her throat. Okay, like, that's definitely a shirt. Sound like a shirt. Had to. Oh, you got one? You got a shirt that said it? No, I wish. Okay. Your next line. Look. Your next one. Oh, that's so funny. But just with grief, I used to, what made me like start all of this was when my mom died. All of her kids, which is 3 of us, we were adults, and so like society telling us, well, you're adults,
there aren't really any resources outside of therapy, or like you have to go find your own support group for that. Okay,
By the time that your mom passed, that your dad already passed.
Yeah, so my dad died in 2007, so I was 15, and my mom died in 2018. I was 26. So it was 11-year difference between them. And so my dad died. Grief support, all of that really didn't exist. Mental health was barely a conversation back then. He was kind of a little oddball because he was open to therapy. So I knew of that because of him, but it still wasn't like talked about a lot from everybody else. He was just a great man and knew that. But when my mom died, and we were trying to like use EAP with our jobs and all this type of stuff, and a lot of people. EAP is Employee Access Program, which is basically like when you go to your employer, they have this program called EAP, and it's a mental health for employees. So like you could get like free therapy. They do a bunch of different like just like medical things. The whole objective is so that you're a healthy employee. Like that's the objective.
So the EAP is just basically like a resource network or something like that.
Yeah, and so like if your job has EAP, more than likely you get quite a few free things dealing with your health, especially mental health. So we were trying to do that, and we were able to get therapy, but like we were looking for like grief groups that were non-religious. We were looking for like just support. And so when you talk about your brand, creating the community of people you needed when you were going through that, that's what we needed. Like I wish there was a non-religious grief group. And not to even say, like I think people get that confused with me. Like when I say non-religious, that means like I don't believe in God. It don't have nothing to do with that. What I wanted to discuss grief. I didn't want to go to a church where they tell me to believe in Jesus Christ, because that does nothing for my grief, right? Does nothing for my grief, because no matter what I believe in, the grief is still there. So how do I learn about grief? How do I talk about grief? How do I talk about the changes? Because like if I'm being completely transparent, when my mom died, I was probably like 140, 150. A week later, I was over 200 pounds from all the grief that my body literally blew up like a balloon.
And I say like that is one of my biggest issues is controlling my eating habits. I'm telling you, and my body will like, I can gain 10, 20 pounds in 1 week. I promise you to God.
I believe you.
I promise you I can. If I didn't work out so often, I'm telling you, I was 215 in August.
Really?
Yes. I got that. I'm in like 180s. I'm in the lower 180s.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yes. I'm trying to be like that. Slowly, but I'm living. But man, when I say blowing up, and then also too, like westernized medicine don't talk about how a lot of our physical issues really manifested from like our emotional and things like that. And so again, talking about grief, nobody is talking to you about that. So that's what we were looking for, like non-religious grief groups. They didn't exist. So I was like, well, let me fix myself. And so I ended up quitting my job, moving to New York, traveled the world. Like I was like, I was just out here living. I'm like, I'm just travel the world. I got to figure me out. Moved to New York. So she died in October of 2018. I quit my job sometime in 2019, and then I moved to New York of October 2019, so exactly 1 year after she died. And when I got to New York, I was in an apartment. I still have the apartment out there. My aunt lives there. Got my room, got it all cute, and then I was like, okay, I'm about to go travel the world. So I went and traveled. I did that for about 3 months, and then I came back to New York, and COVID hit. So then I am stuck in this apartment for 2 years. And I experienced a New York that even New Yorkers hadn't experienced. But what that did to me was it forced.
I went there during COVID.
Did you?
We had to go ahead.
What was you doing out there?
I was just traveling. Like how you said, travel the world. Like the spot that I was living in Atlanta, my rent was well, I wasn't paying. I had bought my car cash, so I didn't have a car note, and I wasn't paying for insurance. So I had a bunch of extra money, and COVID hit, and all the flights was cheap. New York was one of the first places we went.
Yeah. That's wild. That is wild.
We had to dinner at the same time.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. That is wild.
And that was before having this place then, I'm assuming, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because I didn't get this place until 2020. So I was living in New York, and me and my siblings came across this building. And so we were looking at like how to buy property and stuff like that. And in December of 2020, we decided to purchase this. I didn't move back to St. Louis until March of 2021. So I had actually bought my house, and I had bought this building with my siblings' help and things like that. What COVID did for me though was it forced me to sit with myself because I had no other choice.
Oh my God, everybody, I'm telling you, like, it was crazy.
But you know what, people, I feel like people miss that though. Like, I feel like people are like, oh, the shutdown was so bad. And don't get me wrong, y'all. Like, I'm not saying that I loved being in there, but it forced me to sit down and it forced me to rest. It forced me to be uncomfortable with myself. Because I had no other choice. Like, I couldn't go outside. I couldn't go meet guys. I couldn't be with my friends, right? I had to sit in my bed with one distraction, which was the TV or the phone. And that was it. I couldn't. So I had no choice. But the amount of sleep, especially like the first 2 weeks that we were shut down, the amount of sleep that I mean, my aunt came in and she's like, "Is you pregnant?" I'm like, "How I'm gonna be pregnant? I ain't met nobody." Like, what was we gonna do with it? And she was like, "I don't know. You sleeping a lot." I'm like, "Who gonna get
what else we gonna do?"
Like,
what else? We locked down, and in New York they was serious about it.
Yeah, you had to have a hall pass to go outside.
Yep.
And so for the first couple weeks,
like, a hall pass, literally. Yes.
Like I remember sitting on my stoop, and they was like, "Do you have whatever they called it to be out here?" I'm like, "I can't sit on my stoop." They were like, "No, you gotta go inside."
I'm trying to remember when exactly I came. Because look, when we came in, they made us sign something to say we got the shot.
Yes.
And we did that, and we was in the city, but it wasn't nobody. It was so weird. We in New York on Times Square.
Man.
Nobody. I'm like, this looked like a movie or something.
It was so scary. Like, I remember I went down to Manhattan and it was empty. And I remember, like, I think I have pictures of, like, when it was people, when it wasn't, and then, like, after. And I'm like, this is so crazy. Like, I've never seen New York. Like, I've never seen New York.
I had never seen New York. So my first time experiencing it was.
You was like, this it?
It's probably about 15 of us out there.
This ain't on the movies. Like, where people at? Like, that was me. Like, I was like, it's so empty. It's so empty. Yeah, that was a time, like, and I almost like want to move back to New York just to experience New York, but I don't want to pay New York prices.
Ooh, I know with inflation, I know it's even worse.
I don't want to pay that prices. I'm not with it. That was another reason why I left New York too, though, because I was trying to be, I don't like to use the term soft girl era, but I was trying to get out of survival. And living in New York, you have to work 3 jobs. You have to have 7 roommates. And I couldn't do that because, to be quite honest, I was living that life in St. Louis. And so I was like, I can't, like, if I do that, I'm just repeating the same cycle. So I just literally left St. Louis with the same problems. And I always talk about people, like, if you're going to leave St. Louis, at least have different problems. Like, at least heal yourself here. So when you go, you're not dealing with the same problems. And so that was like one of my determining factors. I was like, I'm going to go back home because 1, it's affordable. 2, I'm a different person. Like, I'm a different person in 2019 than I am in 2021. And I'm able to go back home. I didn't tell people I moved back to St. I think people just learned, like, last year I was officially back in St. Louis. I had opened up my building, bought my house. And, like, in 2023, people was like, "Are you still in New York?" And I'd be like,
people ask me that all the time. They always.
For me, it was not safety as I felt in danger. It was safety for my mental health, because prior to that, I was always everywhere. I was always supporting everybody. I was here. I was there. I had no boundaries with the community. I had no boundaries with my friends, no boundaries with myself. And I was always tired, which caused a lot of my depression and anxiety. Because I didn't have boundaries. And it took me till now to, like, be at a place with boundaries where I'm like, I don't struggle with a lot of those same things that I used to struggle with. Which we can go ahead and jump into that mental health conversation since we're here. So what is mental health to you?
In what way? Can you like elaborate a little bit for me?
So when you think about like your mental health journey, how would you define it in your life?
Mm, never ended.
Never ending. Wow.
Mm-mm. It's, and then sometimes you get so far you think you just, oh, I got it down pat, I know exactly who I am. Then something happened, sends you right back to some shit you used to do in high school.
Yeah.
And now I'm talking about like it be small stuff. Can I give you an example?
Of course, please.
So like my AirPods, I done lost them now though. They up there at the last place they was at the damn emos that I went to doing an order, doing DoorDash and stuff. But when I was younger, I had this terrible cycle that kept me depressed. What I would do was I would wake up in the morning, start playing music. But I would play music affect me a lot. I don't know how it affect everybody else, but I can literally change my whole mood based on what I'm listening to. So I would get up in the morning feeling a certain type of way, and I would play music that complemented that feeling. I would put my headphones in, and I had headphones that would block the sound on the outside. So I would put myself into this negative cycle, and I don't want nobody to talk to me. I don't want nobody to say nothing to me. I'm in my zone right now. So I'm starting my day off. Now I done got into it with my mama already. She done made me mad because she trying to talk and tell me something I don't want to hear it. I'm in my zone. I get on the bus. Somebody on the school bus want to talk to me. Shut up talking to me. I'm in my zone. I go to school and the teacher want to say something to me. Shut up talking to me. I'm in my zone. And now I just then threw my day into a whole negative cycle just based off of sitting down, listening to this negative, depressing ass music. Not even necessarily negative and depressing, but it's just keeping me in that box of how I was thinking when I woke up in the morning. So now, getting older, DoorDash and Uber Eats, that's like one of my primary sources of income, especially in Atlanta. I just learned how to work the system. I be making $1,000 a week on there, going crazy. So I just learned the system, right? But what I started realizing I was doing, you ever heard of rapper King Von?
Yep.
Playing that shit. Putting my headphones on. But I gotta talk to people. I gotta walk up to this person and say this order is for y'all got the order for this. Then I gotta walk up to the customer and it just clicked one day. You are going back and doing some shit you was doing in high school. So I'm kind of damn near glad I lost them. Cause one day I was just like, I'm not gonna listen to no music. If I listen to it, I play it out on my phone out loud or something like that. I just set the AirPods down. The whole total direction of how I was feeling completely changed. Man. Just something small as playing music and allowing it to put me in a negative mind space.
Woo, that's so good. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever expressed this to anybody, but like I used to DJ like after my dad died, I stopped because he was like my main source of taking me because I was pretty young when I was DJing. So I love music too. Like music be touching, right? But as I've gotten older, like I said, 30 was a game. That's how I can't wait till you turn 30. Now that we know each other, I can't wait. I'm going to celebrate with you. I'm going to be like, it's 30. Come over here. I'm going to have it like decorated everything. Welcome to the 30 Club. For real. Because it changed my perspective. I stopped listening to. I'm an R&B gal. I love hip hop too, but I also had to like set a boundary with myself and like, especially old school hip hop music, because I was finding myself. I was keeping myself sad. Like, you know, women always talk about how they play Mary J. Blige, "Not Gonna Cry." What's it called? Now I'm not gonna cry. I couldn't do that no more, and so I got into like audiobooks, podcasts, or I got into silence. Come on. And so some people will say I'm weird, but like sometimes I'll come over here, especially now that I have a space for me, and I'll sit in silence. Or I listen to ambiance music, or I found like lofi type of music is really good for me.
Yeah, I like that too. Study beats and all that type of shit.
Yes, and I play it with my clients too, and a lot of my clients are now getting hip to that because I play like we'll talk a lot about like grounding and deep breathing, and the whole time they're like, you know, the last 5 sessions you've been playing this music, and I'm like, it's part of everything, right? Because I was listening to lyrics and repeating them. You know, your brain don't know the difference between when I'm speaking a positive or a negative affirmation to myself, right? My brain just knows I'm speaking to myself. So I'm putting all of this stuff in my brain and I'm keeping myself sad and I'm wondering why I'm so moody.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to set the boundary like I there are literally weeks where I will go without listening to music.
Mm-hmm.
And I love music. I love artists. I love local artists. Like I love it. But I have to set that boundary. Like sometimes I just can't do it. Or like people talk about like Sexy Red. I listen to Sexy Red because I don't have to think about that, right? It's just fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I have to give myself there. Like I am like City Girls, Cardi, all of them. I love that type of music because I don't have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that would offend them as artists, but I don't have to think about that type of music.
Right.
I could just catch the beat and it's there. Mm-hmm. But if I turn on like some old school hip hop, some of that stuff is really deep. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't think I got the capacity for this today. Or if I
NWA or some shit
yes,
like that. Just
like, or like and then like especially like NWA, right? Mm-hmm. Being someone who's active in like protesting and advocacy. If I turn on NWA, do you know I will go and fight a police officer just because of the music?
You just be in that zone.
Just because.
I'm telling you, that's what I tell about that King Von. I promise you, I just be just like I don't know. That's why I had to stop. I had to stop listening to him too.
Yeah.
For a little minute.
There's a lot of people listen to Rod Wave. Is that his name?
Oh my God. I cannot. I refuse.
I respect you as an artist, but I can't.
Like you hear crying.
The crying, the depression. Like if you don't turn on some City Girls so I can laugh, like I need you to do something else. But I can't, like, and people went crazy when he was just here in St. Louis, and I was like, I can't, like, there is nothing attractive about that for me because I don't want to be sad. And that was another thing. Like, even when I watch TV, like I watch the same stuff. I watch Jurassic Park, I watch Land Before Time, I watch Disney movies. I watch Love and Hip Hop. Outside of that, I don't really watch anything else because I need to watch things that, one, make me happy. Dinosaurs make me very happy. And two, I just need stuff that I don't have to think about. I don't want to think about a lot of this stuff.
Nothing that's going to initiate that little negative down spiral.
Yes, because how old was I? I was 14 or 15. I was diagnosed with situational depression. Back then, situational depression was kind of unheard of. And basically what it is, it's certain things trigger your depression. So I'm not chronically depressed, but in certain situations, I get triggered to be depressed for like that moment. And so with that comes, my depression comes out of nowhere. So like sometimes when you think about chronic depression, it's just a constant like sadness, or like you can tell, but with situational, it could be like we kiki and haha, and then all of a sudden my mood just shifts, and it's almost like, dang, you bipolar? Like what happened? like you got a personality disorder, but it's situational depression because maybe you said something, like maybe you brought up your granddad, and I'm like, dang, like my parents.
Remind me of my shit.
Yes. Then now we sitting here looking at the camera crazy, like so now we doing that. You like, what happened? You know how many times this happened at work with me? Like somebody say something, I just start crying, and people like, who said what to her? And I'm like, it's okay, guys, I'm fine. And no, you're not. Like you have snot coming out your nose. Like go fix yourself.
Get us some tissue.
Yes, please. Just go home. How about that? Just go home.
Okay.
You know, like right. I'm like, okay. It's perfectly safe to cry and drive. Like it's perfectly safe, right? So like, but like people would look at me and be like, but you're so happy, like you don't fit the depression, right? You don't fit that. So I struggled with that for a majority of my life. And then COVID hit and I'm in New York. My mom, by this time, has passed away. Well, I'm starting to feel a social anxiety, but I don't know it's social anxiety, but I'm starting to feel weird. Like I'm a people person. And I'm like, I'm not really liking people. Like there's something going on. So New York.
So was this like during the time where like COVID had happened and you was forced to be alone? So was it like that, kind of like going back into it?
So it really started when my mom died. And what triggered it or started it, which I didn't realize it until like COVID, was when my mom died, people didn't know how to react to me because like I changed. Like everything shifted about me. Like losing my mom, I felt like I died with her. I don't know how else to explain it. when people would ask me what I needed, my answer would be, all I know that I need is water, sometimes food and air.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know that I need. And food is iffy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning I really don't need food, like, because I can't stomach anything. And that was another thing. Like, I'm not eating, but I'm steady gaining weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm steady getting bigger and bigger, but
Mhm.
I'm not really eating. And so what a lot of people were saying was, well, you're usually the strong friend. You're usually the one that's there for everybody. So, like, we don't know how to be there for you. So what that created was, I didn't like people anymore.
Mm.
Because how can I love this world, and when I just needed a hug, y'all
Just can't
left,
show up. Mm-hmm.
just left. And so my job was irritating me, my clients was irritating me, my friends was irritating me. Me and my siblings, we stayed super close to each other, so they were good, my nieces and nephew. But like, I did not want to be around people. And so I'm not realizing that I'm going through this.
Mhm.
So I up and leave, and I'm like, I'm going to New York. So I make the decision. I'm moving to New York. I give my job that special letter that lets them know I ain't coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And I leave. I'm heartbroken because, like, I didn't want to leave my siblings. I didn't want to leave my nieces and nephew, but I knew, like, I had to do something. St. Louis was, I love St. Louis. Like, love, love, love this city. But if I would have stayed, like, I don't know that I would have made it out. Like, I don't know if I would have made it. So I get to New York. I'm traveling the world with my cousin. We're having such a good time. I'm still kind of irritated, but I'm not like really putting two and two together. So then COVID hits, and there's still some stuff going on with like my mom's death and things like that. And I go to this therapist, and she's like, "It really sounds like you're struggling with anxiety." And I'm like, "Anxiety?"
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never had anxiety. And then she threw a whammy at me. It was like, well, it really sounds like social anxiety. Social anxiety? What do you
Another
mean?
term. Here
Like,
we go.
social. And so they put me on this medicine, and like, I was very like anti-medicine, but at this point I needed to do something.
Mhm.
And so they put me on this baby dosage, like 0.5 milligrams. And I do that for about 6 weeks, and the psychiatrist calls me. So in New York, whenever you get there and you apply for like Medicaid, you get a psychiatrist, a therapist, vision, dental, you get all of that. Like, their medical system is completely different than Missouri. So you meet with the therapist weekly, you meet with the psychiatrist monthly. So the psychiatrist calls me, and she's telling me, like, she's doing a checkup with the medicine. I'm not really feeling like there's a difference in anything. And this threw me off. Okay, so I'm steady going to the psychiatrist. I'm steady going to the therapist. I'm like, I'm not seeing a difference. So finally, I'm like, F all this. I'm done with it all. Right. So I stopped taking the medicine. I stopped going to therapy and all that. And my aunt's like, well, I did see a difference when you were taking the medicine versus when you weren't.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm switching to, like, I'm getting ready to come back to St. Louis. So again, the anxiety is high. So I find a therapist in the transition of like moving from New York to St. Louis. And she educated me so much. She was like, so I'm telling her about the medicine. I'm telling her about all the transition, all the death, all the grief. And so she's like, so here's the thing about medicine. I think a lot of us are taught that anxiety and depression medicine are happy pills. Happy pills do exist, but these are not happy pills. The medicine you were given was created for you to go back to your normal life. So what I want you to think back on is, how was your sleep schedule? How was your eating schedule? Were you able to stay up for 8 to 12 hours during the day? And I was like, oh my God, I was. And she was like, and what was your attitude? Like, maybe it wasn't happy, but like, what was your attitude? And I was like, that makes sense, because my aunt would say she could see the difference when I was on the medicine versus when I wasn't. And so I was like, you're right. I thought it was a happy pill. Like, I thought I was supposed to be a unicorn, like, after taking this pill. And really, it was just to regulate me, to get me back to my normal self. Because that's the other thing about medicine is, a lot of times we're not supposed to stay on it for long periods of time. Like, sometimes the medicine really is just to regulate you, to be like, to tell your brain, like, hey, this is actually who we are. Like, this is who we are. Okay, cool. So I can go back to normal. So
So what it is, like stabilize your chemical balance, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's basically what it was.
Mhm.
Like the way I think about it is like this nerve was talking to this nerve. Hey, we're back. Like
Remember how things used to be?
yes.
Yeah.
And so with that I learned like working out, drinking water, eating better,
Mhm.
all of that also helps with the mental health part.
Mhm.
But we don't talk a lot about like how the emotional and like the unseen affects the physical of mental health, right? So like when I think of mental health, I think about like the holistic health of the body. I also think about like whenever I hear mental health, I think about depression, anxiety, because those were the two things that affected me in my life.
Mhm.
I also think about grief, but also too, now that I'm the way I am right now, I think my mental health is actually probably the best and most healthiest that it's ever been
Mhm.
because of all the work that I've done and all the work I continue to do, the daily things that I'm doing in my life, the daily conversations, like even doing things like this, like bringing people who have a story and talking about it, because our stories are completely different, but yet we have one thing in common, which is the mental health journey. Both of us are in the community trying to make a difference. Like, it's when you're talking, I'm like, our stories are actually like pretty similar. Like, it's
Mhm.
on different spectrums, right? But like, essentially we wanted the same thing. Like we
Mhm.
wanted a group of
Yeah. We
people.
went through such and such, and then we, like how you starting off there.
Mhm.
Then we went through such and such and left and experienced that there. Then we came back and like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and just like wanting that, and I want to talk about that too with your organization. I want you to re-say the acronym and talk about like that story of like where you were, why you created it, what you needed, because I think like that's important, especially like I think people need to support organizations like you because you're definitely out here with a strong message and you're definitely a resource to the community,
Mhm.
because people need to hear like, hey, you're not alone. I think like because of social media we think people know, but like
Mhm.
it's people still out there that don't know that they not alone.
Mhm. For sure. And there's a lot of people out here. There's a lot more people. There's probably millions. There are millions more people that deal with shit in crazy ways. Like they got a lot going on in their mind that they will never show just due to the fact of them not wanting to seem weak.
Yeah.
But I'd have people hit me up like on a personal tip and tell me stuff like you wouldn't even imagine.
Oh yeah.
From a person that you would never imagine even thinking that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's so powerful that you said that. So one of my first guests that I had last month, we didn't say it on air, but I met him through that community program that I like, my first job
Mhm.
after like my business kind of just hit a plateau. And I was telling him, I was like, yeah, the day I met our boss, like I was drunk. I was like so drunk. I don't even know why he like wanted to give me like this job offer. But like he told me later on, he was like, well, you started talking about community and nonprofit and like the passion, like you sobered up so quick. And the passion, he was like, I need you on my team. But I was like, before I met him, I wasn't like, I didn't have the thoughts to unalive myself, but I definitely had the thoughts of like, hey, if I don't wake up, I wouldn't be the maddest person
And
in
that's
the
where it
world.
started.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was like, I didn't feel like I had purpose anymore because I felt like everything had failed. I felt like I was doing all this hard work. I kept running into scammers. I felt so alone. And then I was just like, what am I doing all this for? Like, again, going back to that time thing. Like, I'm putting in all this time. I'm doing all this stuff. What am I doing all this for? Like, I might as well just lay down and never wake up again, right?
Mm.
Most people would have never, even to this day, like even when people hear this podcast, they're gonna be like, "You felt that way?"
Mhm.
Like it was literally to the point where I bought this book called "I'm Dead Now What," and in it I wrote a letter like, "Hey, if I don't wake up tomorrow, please just make sure my dogs are okay. My siblings got the house, my god kids got the building. Like y'all good. Just make sure my dogs are okay." Like that mentally, that's where I was,
Mm.
and like people didn't even know. Like people be like, "You were like that," and I was like, it wasn't that I was ashamed to say it. It's just that like you can't say that to everyone.
You cannot, because some people will take that shit and explode, or they go run telling everybody, or
And sometimes people don't understand the human aspect, right? Like if I come to you and be like, "Hey, I don't know that I want to be alive right now." But that doesn't necessarily mean I have a plan in place, right? Like sometimes it just means like I just need some extra support. If I don't get that extra support, we might further this. But like what I'm telling you right now, like I'm crying out for help basically. And some people don't know how to handle that. And also too, like again with boundaries, we have to have the boundaries of who we talk to, who we tell. Like obviously you're a very trusted person for like people just to hit you up and be like, hey, I heard you on that podcast. This is what I've been through. So that was deep.
Yeah.
That was deep. Ooh, I don't think I've ever said that out loud either. But here we are.
That's why that one thing I've never been scared to. Even to the public to say, what I done been through or how life affects me. You know what I'm saying? Because I know, like I said, it takes more strength to do that.
Correct.
And then the more that I did it, and then start hearing stuff back from people telling me that, like, damn, hey, bro, I be feeling like this, and these from people that's like, I'm talking about gangster, straight thug, straight people like you wouldn't even expect it from. And it's like, I just feel like what's cool about the person that I am is like I have so many different backgrounds that I'm applicable to all different people from all walks of life.
Yep.
So I'm at photo shoots with people, like I said, real people that be out there doing. Then I got, dudes that sit up on the computer and play video games all day. Then I got little kids that like, I mess with, I had a whole kid photo shoot before.
Man, that's beautiful.
You know what I'm saying? Then I got older people that, you know what I'm saying, 40s, 50s. You know what I'm saying? That mess with the message too.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, I love that. Okay, so tell us the name of your organization again.
So WAGDOD. WAGDOD is an acronym, and it stands for We're All Gonna Die One Day.
We all are gonna die one day. Okay, so where did that come from?
So the original reason why we came up with the acronym was that same little group of skateboard friends I told you about that we had. It was me and one other one at the time. His name was John, and we started just coming up with acronyms to force each other to do stuff. So like one of them we had was called the pill. So like we'll be like, you on a pill? So the pill stood for procrastination is life. So like if you was procrastinating, we'd be like, you on a pill. And then we even got so deep into it where we was like, we gotta eat healthy. So I swear to God, like if we saw each other with a bag of like hot fries or something, we'll smack it out each other's hands. What? So it got to a point where like if I was eating something I knew I wasn't supposed to be eating, and I knew he was around, like I'd seen him eat some chips, he just busted out running down the street because he already knew. But that's how we was on each other. And one day I texted him and I was like, we all gonna die one day. And we would say that before we went to go do something. Yeah. So like say if it was a hill we wanted to skateboard down, or it was a girl we wanted to talk to, we'd be like, we all gonna die one day. And then we'd go do it. Yeah. And then one day I just typed out the acronym and I was like, just got the rub in my chin. You know what I'm saying? It's like that light bulb went off. Yeah. And I'm like, I think this could be something big. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's where it originally started from. Wow. So I texted that to him one day, the acronym, and I was like, Then he went and he made like a little sketch logo. Yeah. And I basically took that original drawing that he created and I sent it to a graphic designer. It was like $100. Yeah. And then he created this.
That's what's up. Okay, so you said something to me earlier. You said we all gonna die one day. So you were living to die, but now you're living to live. That's not exactly how you say it, but I've been like keeping it right here, so I remember talking about it. I want you to talk about that though. Like you used to say you was living to die, but now you're living to live.
So like, yeah, like I said. So you want me to go back to the episode that happened? Okay, so 18. I was like 18, something like that. Everything hit at once. You 18. My mom and dad went to college, so I felt as if I didn't take that, at least that route, I was a failure. So it was that pressure of 18. I barely made it through high school because I just hated the whole structure of everything there. I hated the people. I hated the teachers. I just hated everything about it. It felt like prison to
me. That's another podcast. Yep. That's a whole other podcast. Yes.
Made it through school, just to have to sit down and realize that I probably have to go to another higher version of school just to meet up to the expectations of something that I didn't even want to do, but I just didn't want to feel like a failure.
Mm-hmm.
All of that plus relationship I was going through at the time. That was the first real connection I ever had with another person in general.
Oof,
ever.
that's deep.
You talking about like first love? Like that was like we was best friends before it ever became anything physical, any of that. So you talking about like creating a chemical balance that's attached to a person. Like it was getting to the point where like she stayed one street over from me.
Mm-hmm.
So I would walk up to her window and she would know I was there and open her window before I even came to knock.
Y'all was that connected?
Yes.
Oh, that's a connection.
Like, she'd open the window and be like, I knew you was out here. I just knew it.
I felt you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. That's when you talk about soul tie.
Mm-hmm.
Woo.
So it was like at that time, as the relationship progressed, now me looking back on it, I did a lot of wrong things that it destroyed the integrity of the relationship.
Yeah.
The stuff that I was doing, being flirting with other girls, doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that caused her to react to it and go seek love in her own way that she wasn't getting from me. Because I was seeking attention from other girls.
Yeah.
So the relationship basically ended. I was like, okay, I can't do this no more. You know what I'm saying? But I was cool when it first happened. Like I told you, when stuff first happened, my body it isn't there.
Yeah.
But once it started hitting, like I used to get up every day just to go talk to her. Now it's nobody. We used to sit up for hours and just talk about shit. I'm talking about monsters, aliens, whatever. We would talk about everything. And now that one person that I felt like I had a connection with is just gone. Like I never had a connection with my mom, my dad, nobody ever in life. Yeah. So for that to be gone, regardless of why it was gone, it just gave me this intense feeling of, and I'll never forget. It's this feeling I used to have in the pit of my stomach. It's like borderline butterflies, but not the good butterflies. Yeah. Not it's Christmas the next morning and you finna open some presents butterflies, but the butterflies were. I'm talking about like in my mind, the best way I can interpret or explain that would be like I'm on death row and they finna kill me tomorrow. Ooh. That's how those. Just imagine how a person like that would feel. Yeah. You know it's coming. You know you finna end. No matter how good of the food is they give you, no matter what happened, you know it's over with. Yeah. That's how I felt every day waking up. Like the second I get up, boom, it's just like that's how I felt. So from that feeling there, I would just spend long periods of time alone. Yeah. And just really try to sort out why the hell what is this? Yeah. Trying to understand. And that's when I was like, I don't ever want to feel like this. And if anybody else in the world feels like this, I want them to be able to come here to us in this environment around these people and never feel that way again. Wow. So wow. That's deep.
Ooh, okay. I'm glad you explained that. Because that's what I want to like wrap up the episode with, like with just like mental health and really figuring out like who you were. We've been talking a lot about love on the podcast, and so like even just I want my supporters to like hear like what love can do and how love plays into our mental health as well. And not just I talk a lot about like love for a bunch of things, right? But so many times we like the cute stuff of relationships, right? We love the cute pictures, the walks in the park, the cute relationship goals. But like what you just explained, you had to find yourself outside of a relationship. You had to find yourself outside of someone you had this connect. That's crazy that she could sense you outside. That's like a dog, like you know what I'm saying? Like not calling her a dog, but like that's like, you know, when we think of like canine dogs, like okay, go sniff this to go find it. Like y'all was that connected, like whew, that's deep. And I think like with me, I've been there. I've been that girl before, right? Like I know when he about to call me. I know when he about to do this. To be that connected and maybe y'all not even supposed to be that connected is scary.
Yeah.
It's absolutely terrifying.
Yes.
Like terrifying. Like so just I don't know. And then I think about that. This don't have nothing to do with mental health, but just think about like when you do find that person and y'all are supposed to be together. Imagine like how intensified that might be.
Like, I feel like it's still gonna be scary because it's like Jesus Christ, like damn, I still be scared now sometimes when I do like create connections with women, and it's like even if it do feel good, it's borderline like, ooh, what if this go bad? I wonder if that was bad at 19. I wonder what. Oh Lord, like listen, Jesus.
I was writing my book about love and was going through a heartbreak. And it wasn't even somebody that I was necessarily with. It was just somebody that we had a connection, but we both knew that like we could not be together. So like figuring out like, okay, well, what does this look like? Like what does a relationship look like? Is it non-traditional? Is it we just accept that we just cool and we just always gonna have this chemistry there, right? But like going through a heartbreak and writing about love, and I felt like I was 15 again. I was a 16-year-old who got her heart broken again. And I was like, there's no way I'm 32 feeling like I'm 15. But I was. Like, I really was. And I'm a little bit more mature now. A little bit. Like, I'm a little bit more mature now. So I was able to have a difficult conversation, which at the age of 15, 16, I could never have those difficult conversations. I was definitely like the stereotypical Puerto Rican that was just gonna cuss you or cuss you, whichever one was first, you know, like. But having those conversations and like still being like, bro, but like I'm heartbroken right now. Like we having this conversation and I think eventually we'll be cool. Maybe not. It don't really matter. But bro, like I'm straight heartbroken and you got me messed up. And I should come over there and slap you, but I'm not. Like I'm trying to be cool. Like I got a whole brand out here that I gotta like, you know, try not to go crazy, but man, it's just it's wild. It's oh my gosh, it's so wild. Man, it's so wild. But that's why it's important to know your mental health, everybody. Like that's why and it's important to know your triggers. It's important to know these resources. I like that you have a clothing line because I'm the type of person that like I started to wear positive clothing. Like so like clothing with so I try not to shop. I actually don't shop big name brands at all. I really only shop local or Rainbow, whichever one. But
I be on Shein, crazy.
Listen,
stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean Amazon too. Like I ain't gonna lie, I be on Amazon too. But I really do like to support local, and so like I find like things that have really good meaning, like the shirt I got on. Most of the clothes I wear are very, very positive, and that was one way that I fed into my mental health as well. You know how they say if you look good, you feel good. Well, I was wearing it, like so. Even if it was just a T-shirt, that this one say "Be well," like it's on my physical body. So like my mind is constantly taking it in. So like that was one way that I had to feed my mental health. Like we're gonna be healthy. We're gonna go through this. We're gonna be cute while we do this. We supporting community. Like it was just so much representing the holistic health that I wanted to create. So do you have any last things that you want to say about mental health? Anything we didn't talk about?
I just feel like for anybody watching, I just hope that you just sit down and figure out who you are. That's where it all started. Figure out who you are before you have to know who you are, or at least try to get a better understanding of what you are before you can ever interact with anybody on any even friendship level, but especially emotional. Like if you trying to like get into a relationship with somebody, you have to know who you are and you have to do your due diligence to understand who that person is. Because some people don't even know who they are. So sometimes you have to be able to interpret who they are, even though some people might not tell you, or some people might lie about such and such and such. You feel what I'm saying? You have to be able to do the due diligence on yourself and be able to understand yourself enough to be able to understand somebody else before you can even create a connection with somebody in any way, even if it's just friends.
We gotta write a book together. We gotta write a book together because that
Because it really is really all psychology. You feel what I'm saying? So like once you just start learning stuff, like even about body language, about tones of voice, like you just start paying attention to it's really stuff that we already know, but being able to hone it down to terms and really ways that you can use it to your benefit. Like once you get to that point, you will avoid so much bullshit in life.
That right there, that's what I'm going through right now, and having to be okay with that because I unlearned a lot of stuff, and so having to be okay with, like, I know myself, and so there's just certain things I just won't deal with. That's with friends, that's with my jobs, that's with even my community center. Like, it's just, I was telling you earlier, like, working with certain people, like, I operate at a certain level, and if you can't respect how I operate, we just can't work
and
together.
It ain't even no hard feelings. It's just like, shit, we just ain't gonna work together.
It's just not meant to be, and having to be okay with that. Ooh, that's so deep. Okay, so know yourself. Figure out who you are. Know yourself. Okay, that's the CEO. So it came from him. So know yourself. All right. As always, we are going to end on our affirmation. That was really good. You definitely made it over an hour and a half. You definitely did.
I could speak on these topics forever.
Man, I swear. All right, welcome to episode 112's affirmation. Okay, so our affirmation for this week is I am capable of healing and giving myself permission to be. So I am capable of healing and giving myself permission to be. How do you feel about that?
Capable, repeat it one more time.
I am capable of healing and giving myself permission to be.
So like, how do I interpret that? So basically, being able to move forward without holding on to the anchors of the past, maybe some mistakes you made, some crap you did. That's something I'm currently, you feel what I'm saying, struggling with. You feel what I'm saying? But we all gonna make mistakes. Stuff is just gonna happen. Like how you said earlier, you was talking about your 20-year-old version of you, and being able to just understand that you just didn't know, like you dead ass didn't know, like you had no idea. And then I read some the other day where they was talking about you move different when you trying to survive. You feel what I'm saying? You was trying to survive. You can't hate yourself or be mad at yourself or constantly go back to some, thinking of yourself in a negative light. When you was doing something to survive, you see stuff differently. When you trying to really get it out the mud, you don't know what you doing. A lot of us just get thrown out here.
A lot of us. Yeah, I think that's such a good point too. We do move different when we're in survival, which is why, like, in my current season, I can't go back to survival. I cannot go back to survival. Like, when my business started to fail and I saw myself going through survival, I'm gonna go get a job. Like, absolutely, because there's no way I can go back to survival.
For sure. Yeah.
There's no way, right? And being okay with that, like being okay with, like, it doesn't make me a failure. I have to do my biggest thing right now, and even in dating and with my friends, I have to tell everybody around me, I have to make sure my nervous system stays calm, because I lived too long with my nervous system always on high alert. Now that I didn't discover what it feel like calm,
you never go back.
Cannot go back. So yes, I am capable of healing and giving myself permission to be. I always talk about just giving yourself permission to grieve, to love, to heal, to do what you need to do to be human. We are human. I know, like, a lot of people will, like, bring in their beliefs. While we're on this earth, we human, and so we just got to give ourselves permission to be just that. So I want to thank you for being on the show. You're welcome back anytime. Tell people where they can find you at.
Oh, okay. So y'all can find me. Everything's WAGDOD. So WAGDOD. My website, wagdod.com. Instagram, just WAGDOD. Okay. Twitter, I think it's WAGDOD official.
Okay.
And I got Discord as well. That's just Discord.
Oh, you got a Discord?
Okay. Yeah, I got Discord. I don't use it a whole lot. But see, the big thing was I was gaming. So I got a whole nother thing called WAGDOD Gaming. So I'm going to start back streaming very soon. But I was like in Atlanta, I had my whole setup, everything. So I still got the setup. So we're finna get right back into that.
Okay.
So the WAGDOD Gaming, that's on Discord. And yeah, WAGDOD.
All right. It'll also be in the show notes. So check them out. Support. We love supporting local entrepreneurs and businesses. So let's go ahead and show some support. And thank you again.
All right.
All right, y'all. I love you, but love you the way you love the world. I'll catch you next Monday.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was good. An hour and 40 minutes.